Justin, quit growling. Nobody wants your food. Nobody can get your food. I'm sure they want it, but they can't get it. So if you hear growling, it's Justin guarding his food bowl in his crate, which he does all day long. I feed them in the morning, and then he basically wants to lay with his food bowl all day long. And at some point, he may or may not just eat it all. He is the most non-food motivated dog I think I've ever owned. Hi, Jody. See, this is the hard part, is I actually start at 5, and then they want to do their commercial thing before they actually make it live. So there's like a little bit of a delay from what I'm doing to what you guys see sometimes. So, yeah, that's weird. I hate it. Because then it looks like I'm late, and I'm not. I came on right as it turned to 5 o'clock. See, and now it shows it being behind once all the commercials went on. So, how is everybody this evening? Hi, KJ. Hi, Heather at Sober 204. Jody, Vicky. I forgot to remind Anna that we were coming on live today. The boys, I think, are going to sleep over. I had I don't know, I think a productive day. I went and picked up hay yesterday, and then I couldn't get the grapple on the skid steer. So I had to wait for Victor to get home from work, which was late, like 6:30. And then he attached it, the hydraulics. I just could not get them to click in. And so then this morning, I brought the skid steer up here after taking the boys to school and cleaned out some of the barn, put some of that hay debris in with the pigs, and it'll give them a little block from the north. We're gonna sneeze. Achoo! Excuse me. Hey, it's Bob. Hi, Bob. We don't expect push-ups, but anyway, I got the hay cleaned up and the new bale put in, and then took that back down to Victor's, and then I'm prepping for a dump run, so I just kind of organized stuff and put that in a spot, and did some dishes, that kind of stuff. But tomorrow I'm going to do a little bit of running around. But the boys have tomorrow off and Monday off, so I'm not sure if they're staying. Hi, Darlene. Yeah, Bob. Bob who? Who's this Bob you speak of? Hi, Colleen. How are you guys? Man, I keep going. I need to go over there and visit with you. Kind of busy. I mean, I definitely have been resting. So I got a load of firewood from Victor because I ran out, but unfortunately it's not seasoned wood, so it's not really putting out a lot of heat. I still have a little bit of my seasoned wood, but we're supposed to get 2 weeks of yucky weather. So it's supposed to be cold at night and then warm up into the mid 30s during the day. So in reality, my little propane heater would totally keep me warm enough. I mean, it won't be 80 in here, but it would be in the high 60s. Bob is Bob. Yes, I'm in the living room. But I just like completely, so anyway, I unloaded it was about a half a cord of wood. I unloaded all of that and stacked it. And I swear I felt like I ran a freaking marathon. It's like so ridiculous. I was talking to Kira and I was telling her, I hurt so much and I don't even feel like I really did anything. It is heavy. It was heavy because again, it's not seasoned, but Um, I was almost, were you almost Idaho, Bob? I mean, you had mentioned that you were thinking about moving this direction, but did you almost do it? But Heather said no. Bob, you're hilarious. We definitely miss you, Bob, and your witty humor. We need to have you over. Been working on projects on the inside of the house. Guest room is next. Nice. I would have to say that this winter I have struggled the most with motivation. I have not wanted to do anything. I enjoyed pulling out my sewing machine and messing around with that, but it created such a mess in this small space that I've kind of boxed everything up. And then I told Kira, we're going to work on I think we're calling it the crafting cabin first, so that I can get all of that set up, so that I can get my sewing on, and also start, have a place to dry the soaps. So for those of you that do not know, I have a t-shirt that I've designed that I'm going to start selling. And I have we're going to get into, dream of mine for the last 20 years. I got my very first two goats in 2006. So it's literally been 20 years. And I was like, I'm going to start making cheese, which I did. And then I was like, then I want to start making soaps. And I really wanted to do this goat milk soap business. But I actually had a bunch of people that were like, that's not a thing. You're not going to. I'm going to tell you, my family is probably the worst at telling me that I shouldn't do something and talk me out of it. And then later, I'm like, well, hindsight's 2020. I'm like, dang, I should have done that. Do you still have the t-shirt with the hammer that says this is not a drill? I don't have that shirt. Did you send that shirt to Kim? Because I don't have that shirt. And KJ, I agree. I do think it's, so Jody asked if there's any babies yet. No. This girl is holding out. Like, I go out there every single morning and every afternoon and still no babies. So this was 20 years ago that I was like, I want to have this soap business. And I just think this would be so fantastic. And I've actually been drinking goat's milk on and off since I was a kid because I'm lactose intolerant. And I had a friend who had a goat, and she got permission from the city to have the goat in town because of her milk allergies. And this was in Tucson, Arizona. And so, anyway, long story short, I'll go off on a tangent. I have made the decision that I am doing my soap business this year. So I was supposed to be making soap all winter and be prepped for the summer or spring. We actually froze milk, we did all that stuff, but I had nowhere to dry it. It has to dry for 4 to 6 weeks before you can really use it so that it lasts longer. You can actually use it immediately, but it'll get really, really soft, and you'll just whip through a bar really fast. And so Kira is supposed to be here, I think it's March 4th, and we are going to get started on the cabin right out the gate so that I can start making soaps. So I should be able to have soap available 4 weeks after we get that set up. And there's not much to do in there. There is some to do in there, but there's not a huge amount, so it shouldn't take that long. Squirrel, right, Carol? Totally squirrel. So what was the question again? Yes, that's literally what I do. Or was it a picture of a drill that said, this is not a hammer? I seem to remember using a drill as a hammer. Okay, so that would be funny, but I also do not have that shirt, so I don't. Are you giving shirts to other people, Bob? She does. KJ said, I bet she's more than ready to get those babies out. She, at first I was thinking she only has one in there, but today when I was looking at her, I'm like, she might have two in there. She has dropped more, and so she's definitely got that where you have her hip and then it goes whoop, and then there's like belly. And she is acting like she has more milk in her udder. I need to post some more pictures. Susie may be right. We may not have babies till March. Well, I think she said March 1st. Which would be good since we're getting ready to have a bunch of cold weather for the next 2 weeks. But Bob is sharing the shirt. So, but she's acting like it's really hard for her to lay down and get comfortable. So, I mean, I do think she's close, but of course I've been saying that. She won't let me touch her ligaments, but I did pin her up against a wall and touch them, and I can still feel the ligaments there right above her tail. You need to send her one now that you brought it up. Exactly. Or I'm just going to steal it. Heather, is firewood heating better this year? We got some really good dried firewood, and as long as it's seasoned, it works really well. But if it is not seasoned, it's might as well not even turn that thing on. But I do think that I need, this stove that I got is for 700 square feet, which should be enough to heat this space. But when it gets really cold outside, like in the teens, it doesn't, between that and the propane heater being on low. So keep the propane heater on low all day long. Unless it's over, well, if it's over like 35, I just really don't start the firewood. I just keep the propane going. But at night I turn it off. If it's going to be over 30, then I turn it off. Do I want the small or extra small shirt? Funny, Bob. You're funny. But I do think that I need a little bit bigger of a wood stove. I think, so this is an everybody video, so members, I may be repeating myself because I tell you guys things way in advance. This year is all about finishing up all the projects that we started, gardening, and soap business. And there may be some other little things in there, but I absolutely have to make money this year to catch up on land taxes and to start prepping for the barndominium, because I just know for me I need more space than, I think if you live somewhere where you have winter and you're trapped inside for 5 months, basically, if you're not at like, I love being out in the cold kind of person, I am not that kind of person, then I think you need more space. And I am totally there. Now we are talking about creating another room off where the sliding glass door is, like another living room, so that there is more space to move around. And that would definitely help. But I think getting those things, Bob, are you leaving? Is that why you're saying it's good to see everyone? Yes, gotta jump. You're so mean. You're so mean, Bob. And then that way, now making the crafting cabin is going to make a difference. I will put a propane heater in there. I really like sewing. I'm spinning on here. I really like sewing. I really enjoy that craft of doing things and making things that you can wear. It's like, I really love that. Kira has kind of talked about being here also a little bit this next winter, maybe. I think that really is whether or not we get the bigger living room space, because we do kind of bounce off of each other in here. I basically have my chair. She takes over the couch, and the boys, whenever they're here, they take over the couch. The elevator will definitely help once that gets put in. And I want to bring that up because I have talked about that. And that was something I really wanted to get done this winter. But as I was looking at all the steps that need to be done to put it up, I made the decision, because I haven't done anything in my bedroom, so I still just have the plastic on the walls. I need to run electric in there. I need to all the lines in the walls and the ceiling, and then I need to get all the wallboard up. And at that point, attaching to the wall really wouldn't be a bigger deal. I actually need to cut this hole a little bit bigger, that the hole needs to be a little bit bigger. And I didn't want to like put up just behind where the bars would go, rails would go for the elevator, and then have to take all of that down to do the bedroom. So I kind of thought, well, I could like pull all my stuff out of the bedroom and do that this winter. We did have a mild winter. But I just, honestly, I was just like, I don't want to sleep downstairs. I don't want to bring everything downstairs. Like, then where do I put it? There was just like a whole bunch of things. So I think what's going to happen is we're going to work on the cabin first and firewood for next season. I've got a bunch of logs that are already seasoned and ready, and I do think that I have like 5 or 6, probably like 5 cords of wood already. I want to go into next season with at least 5 cords of wood. So if I have to buy a cord, then I will. But anyway, get the cabin done, and then I'm going to pull everything out of my bedroom because it should be a little bit warmer. Cover it up on the deck up top and do the bedroom so that I have a finished space to be in, because that should help my not feeling like I'm in a construction zone constantly. And that's actually the last really big room that we have to do. Hi, Sue! The glitter Vader, yes. So I did put that off because I just honestly didn't know where to put all my stuff. And since I brought everything in off the deck for the wintertime, there's hardly no room up there. So getting that room done, and then I think I'm going to end up putting the bed on a platform, and then I could have big giant drawers coming out of it that I could store stuff in and put stuff in. Now my bed has where you can lift up your knees, or you can lift up your back so you're sitting up in it. I have that kind of frame. So, and I love that frame, especially because then I also have a little TV that's going to go up there. There's a lot of stuff that I like watching that Kira doesn't really like watching. And so that way we can kind of separate, and I can put headphones on, or she can put headphones on, or whatever. So I think that's all going to make a huge difference in just being comfortable. The other thing that we're doing this next summer is we're going to be going down to my son's shop and helping him with firewood a few days a week. Probably 3 days a week, 3 long days a week, and then we'll have 4 days up here. So, oh yeah, there's lots of room under the bed. I would just have to build a platform with the big long drawers. And then there would also be so Chloe likes, and Justin, mostly Chloe likes to sleep under the bed. so I could actually make her an actual little dog bed, and or do a build out for her, because they both really like just being in their crates. And when the crate doors are open and we're all just laying around here, they go into their crates and they lay down, and they like that. So, but I do think that that would make a huge difference on just feeling better about everything. So, and then I also really want a greenhouse built this year, just a 10 by 20, not a big giant one. Not a heated one, not one that I'm going to really grow in. I really need it because we get so dusty here in the summertime, and I'm trying to dry herbs and dry flowers and all of that kind of stuff. I need one that I can hang up all of these things to dry, and they're not getting covered with dust. So we're going to be milling all of this stuff for that. So we'll probably be in town at my son's shop, milling one day a week, and then working for him 3 days a week, and then coming here and working 2 days a week because we will take one day off. Sunday we'll take off. I will probably be making soap after church and doing that kind of stuff. So I'm really excited. I think it's going to be busy, but I think it's going to be a good busy. And I think I do feel better when I'm productive. I think that's the hardest thing about wintertime, is I don't feel productive, and therefore I get the sad syndrome really bad. So that's kind of the hope. That's kind of the hope and desire for this year. And moving forward with that. Yes, if you are not subscribed, please subscribe. And if you are not a member, now during the wintertime I don't really put out a lot, but in the summertime I do walkabouts and just kind of show whatever we've been working on the day before. And so you get like a sneak peek into what's going on, and I talk in detail. It's a little bit more, I don't know, you guys tell me what it is. It's non-edited, like I don't edit, I just walk around and I'm like, here's what's going on, here's what we did, kind of thing. So, and the memberships are not super expensive, and the memberships are literally probably the only reason why I get a paycheck off of YouTube. So I really, really appreciate you guys that are members and have stayed members. It's actually a really big deal and helps me out a huge amount. So, does anybody have any questions? So throw those out, and then I will answer them as I can. Thanks. KJ said the memberships are great. Thank you. I appreciate that. What else is going on? I have one goat that possibly is not pregnant. She might just be fat. Delilah is the only one that's not showing an udder, and I'll be really bummed if she's not. I will have to put her on a diet. It's a real possibility, because when we thought she was pregnant and pregnancy tested her, it came up negative. But she's a chow hound. She's like Chloe. She just eat everything. She's like me. She's like me and Chloe. She's in our group. And if they're too heavy, they won't get pregnant. So if she is too heavy, then I have to pull her out of the free feeding pen and control her feed so that she can drop weight. And then I'll have to induce her into releasing eggs so that she can be bred. But then she would be a goat that would be probably producing all winter. It would be a fall baby. Have you had much snow? No. We've literally had, I think, 10 inches of snow all winter. That's it. We had two times that it actually snowed, and it was about 5 inches each. Our up higher, they got a little bit more, and we are seeing some snow on the mountains right now. And supposedly this next 2 weeks, we're supposed to get a bunch of snow up on the mountains, which would give us some of the melt, which we need for it to not be a super drought and bad fire season. So, was your craft cabin filled up? I don't remember how big it is. It is a 10 by 10. It has some of Kira's stuff in it. And then, but there wasn't a whole lot of stuff in it. Of course, now there is, because Jody gave me a bunch of sewing stuff. And so I unloaded everything into there. And, so it's going to be, I think it's going to be a great size. It's the same size as the living room here. So it'll be a really good size to, they ever determine the cause of the fire near you last year? That was scary. Gosh, they did. And I'm trying to remember what it was. Somebody said it. It was set by somebody. And then it just took off. That was scary. That was actually very close. I need to get I have a stock trailer. And I need to get, it needs some work on it. It's got some rust and some issues. So I need to weld some stuff on there and get that set up to use, because, and even my son was like that, what's wrong with your stock trailer? It's got a bunch of crap in it too. I'm going to pull the stuff out of it and prep it, because we did have somebody nearby that had a horse trailer that was going to come up, and we were just going to load everybody into his. It was a horse trailer, and maybe a 4-horse trailer, so it's about the same size as my stock trailer. We would have just loaded everybody that we could get loaded in there, and then in the back of my truck and go. But if we had the stock trailer, my trailer, then it has a separate where you can shove all the pigs could go up front, and it could be shut, and then all the goat and sheep can go in the back. And then I do need to think about some kind of cage for chickens. Has Victor done a fire break around you? Yes. Not behind me, but there kind of is one, because the pipeline is a fire break. So we really do have a pretty decent fire break, I would say. And then the pasture for the animals is a fire break. So I do have cleared out space all the way around. I know another thing that I really want to get set up is the water collection. That one's going to be a little bit hard, based on all the totes are very expensive. So, but I would really like, my duck pond holds 750 gallons of water. So I'd like at least 1,000-gallon tank that is just for watering the garden, because what I plan on doing is almost like a drip irrigation through the garden, to where I don't have to actually water it. I just turn that on, it does its thing, and then I turn it off, and then do that whenever I need. But I want to pull the water from the duck pond and refill that every week. And then that would be fertilizing all of that space, all of my garden would be fertilized. And then also I'm planting grass and some things for the goats, because we finally got that all cleared out, and we got a bunch of bonfire done and slash piles burned. I have one more that I needed, and I really needed to do that this last week, but I didn't. So planting that, I am probably going to need to water that, especially if we have a drought year. Otherwise, nothing will grow. So I need to get a trash pump where I could just pump it out of there and just spray it really good. Does anybody else shake their head while Heather's talking? Many people do that to me, Jody. Many people. For all kinds of reasons. But I think the hauling water in and pumping water into the garden water system is going to be enough work versus trying to water a garden every single day. KJ6 said no. But yeah, so I really can collect a lot of water off my barn, off the watershed, and off the tool shed. I can get quite a bit off of those 3 roofing systems. But if we don't rain, then I need to bring water in. I need to haul water in. Let's see, I have 3 IBC totes. 2 of them are 350 gallons, and one of them is smaller than that, 250. So I need to find some more of those, or those are kind of the cheapest thing to get, are those IBC totes. But it's basically $1 a gallon is what you're going to pay for any kind of water containment thing. So that's got to be figured out and set up. And then there are just a bunch of little projects. I think this year we're going to be doing, okay, I say this, but usually it's just putting out fires as far as what's causing a problem, let's fix that. But I need to get a roof on the chicken coop, and then that can be collecting. We're going to do a metal roof on the chicken coop. That can also be collecting water. So as long as I can get the IBC totes, then I can definitely collect the water on it. So I think I'm going to set 2 of them up on the barn on each side, and then 1 on the chicken coop. And then I'll just probably start trying to buy 1 a month or 1 every other month and be able to fill them up that way. So that's the hardest part. Like, there's stuff that we literally could get done and do, and like the water catchment, a lot of people have brought that up a lot. One, I needed roofs that were basically clean roofs that weren't under trees where birds are pooping and all of that kind of stuff. And then the cost of the system, the cost of the containers is just ridiculous. Those IBC totes are like cheap everywhere else. And I could drive to Montana and get them inexpensively. Like, but it would be not this side of Montana, the other side of Montana. And I may do that. I may totally do that. Kelly's not here. She must be working tonight. So that needs to get done. And then I do think we're going to try to put the mill out all the stuff for the greenhouse. So I did have somebody ask me a question if the sawmill was going to stay down at my son's. And it is. Because he has a guy right next to him that has logs delivered all the time. And him and Victor trade work for each other. Like, they help each other out. And he can get logs free or very, very cheap. And so we don't have to cut down any of our trees. And they're right there. And all the equipment's right there to handle it. And I can just go down, mill out what I need to mill, and then Victor brings it back. And then that evening, I just pull it off of his truck with the skiddy and put it down where it needs to be. So I need to get a cut list for the greenhouse because we are going to be milling that out pretty early on. And then, hi Ian. Are you driving to pick up Kira? No. She is flying. She actually got a round trip ticket. So here, and then she's already got her ticket paid for going back. I think possibly I may go pick her up next year, or it really depends upon when she decides to come back here. Like if she stays all winter or waits. The thing about me driving to go get her that's really hard is the weather. And, you know, we're going through like Wyoming, Montana, stuff. Like the weather could be really nasty. I mean, I could drop down to Boise and go over that direction. There's still some cold states, but I don't know. I don't know if that's gonna. It is a long trip. It is a long trip. I love road trips. So, like, that's not a big deal. But I don't love road trips in bad weather. So, it just wouldn't be fun. I would have to get a motel. So, that raises the cost of that. So, I'm kind of thinking that me driving her there would be better than me going there and picking her up. Because it would be more in the fall, so the weather would be prettier. It would be before winter hits. So I think we are probably going to try for not this coming fall, but the next fall. I'll probably drive her home. Yes, they do. Motels do charge a lot for pets now. Yeah, and we'd have her 2 cats and my 2 dogs. That would need to be traveling with. Now, Chloe's a freebie because she's a service dog. Hey, Meowgie. So I have 2 stray cats that keep showing up, and they really want to be part of the tribe. and one of them is all the kittens' father. And then we have a big yellow Tom that has also showed up. Hi, buddy. What you doing? Big handsome kitty. What? He's like, why are you sitting over here, Chloe? Don't be mean. Are you thinking of putting solar panels on your new barn roof? No. And I say that because they're facing east and west. They're not facing south, so they really wouldn't do any good in the summer or the winter time at all, because the sun is way over. I get a lot of tree blockage in the winter time. I am wanting, like, this small system that I have, I do want to move to the barn once I can upgrade this smaller system that I have. But I honestly think that I don't really know where I'm going to put the edge of the world area. There's no tree blockage really. So I could put them up there, but it's all shale, so I would have to figure out a way to anchor them into the shale. So I don't know. We're really gonna work on that, figuring that out. Now I have thought of putting solar panels on the pig barn roof, because that does face south. And it's full sun all winter long. So, and that's it's 10 by 20. So that's a 20-foot long section. And I have a friend who got some solar panels. I think they're 550 watts each. And she has some extras. She bought a pallet. And she has some extras. And I'm going to buy them from her extras. So, but those are also bifacial, so you really wouldn't want them on a roof. You want them to where the snow is bouncing off the back and still putting in some stuff. So I kind of have to think about that. Where I have them now, shade in the wintertime hits it. I'm not going to have any issues in the summertime. It's just the winter that's the hardest. And I've just got to kind of figure out where all that goes. I think when the barnuminium's built, the best place for solar panels for me would be on the old shop's roof. So if I could finish the old shop and put them up there and have a huge system in that shop that then brings power over to the house, that would be the best, because that's like full sun all winter. That's a big roof. We could put a huge array up there, and it could actually probably supply me and my son, as long as we had. He has a Bluetti 800 series, but like if we set that up and just had it come in to charge those, I think that would be probably one of the best places. Now, I moved my wind turbine up to the edge of the hill, to the edge of the world, and we had this huge storm like right after I did that it was like, I don't know, 75-mile-an-hour wind. It was a really big windstorm, and it didn't break it, but it tilted it. It somehow got it out. So I need to mess with that, and it's going to take a couple of. I'm kind of waiting for Kira, so that we can get that back in line, and then I've got the wire for it to get all of that set up. So I'm hoping that I can get that set up early on, also. So, but we had that one windstorm, and then basically we've had no winds all winter long. And normally we're pretty windy here in the winter time, especially out there. That's why I moved it to out there, because that's where you catch all the wind. I've got a huge tree break on this right south of me, of my house, but up there there's a tree break, but it's not. It goes over that and doesn't have anything to stop it. So that usually would be like this place for it to be, but not this year. This year was so weird. We had like no snow. We had a ton of rain. We are above our moisture amount that we should get for the winter time. If we were getting snow this year, we would have probably gotten 5 feet of snow with the amount of rain that we got. But because it was so warm, we only actually got about 10 inches of snow, and it's pretty much all melted off now. Hi, Danielle. So we do have a big concern this summer for fires, because if we don't get, of course, they are saying the next 2 weeks we're going to get a huge amount of snow way up in the mountains, and that would be a blessing. Down here where I'm at, we're going to get a bunch of rain. Some snow at night, but rain during the day because it's warming up. I think they were talking about 5,000 feet and up, and I'm at 2,700. KJ asked, did Bluetti ever get working right? Victor's, I think it's doing better now, but he still has some issues to it. It still will not charge from his solar panels. It only charges from the generator. Yeah, we shall see, Danielle, if we get it. But like I said, they said it was going to be 5,000 feet and up. And so that's not me. I'm rain. We're supposed to get rain. We had just over 11 inches in one day a few weeks ago, and that was the pits. Yes, I felt so bad for you guys, because I think the one thing that people don't really talk about when you're, especially off-grid, but just in general, when you are cold, the only thing you can think about is being warm. And so you do nothing but hover around where the warmth is, and it's so miserable if like your house doesn't stay warm. Or for instance, I have to do something about my living room floor. There's no insulation on my living room floor. So my feet are freezing here in the living room all the time. Now, if I put the fan up, which I don't know if you guys can hear it, I've got the fan up, and if the wood stove's going, the fan blows all the warm air here and around. And so this is actually, this couch is the warmest place in the living room. But you got to keep your feet up off the floor, because the floor is really, really cold. And so that's miserable. And that's all I could think about was with you guys in the east. One, because you're not used to that kind. I guess that kind of cold. The kind of cold that you guys got this year is the cold we normally get. Um, and when you're cold, that's literally all you can do is just try to get warm. It's horrible. Oh, Danielle, you're at 3,200 feet, so you're up higher. Now they're saying that we're switching over to this El Nino instead of La Nina, which is what we've been in. So it'll be really interesting to see what our next winter does. But I do want to say, so because I'm pretty sure I've mentioned about my trees and my pine cones, and it has been spot on every year as to how awful our winter is going to be. My trees, both the fir trees and the pine trees, had like no cones on them this year. So in September, I was like, we're going to have a really mild winter because I have no pine cones. Like I had many trees. Now I have a couple of trees that are overachievers and they produce a full tree of pine cones every year. It's the same trees. I have them marked. Danielle, yours lied. You had tons. We had none. We had like none on ours. And I've been checking these trees since I very first bought this property, and it has been spot on right every year. In fact, my friend Brenda, she'll call me and be like, what are your trees saying our winter's going to do? Because mine apparently are right where they are the weather trees of this area. But the key to that is, like, I have like 5 or 6 trees that produce a ton of cones every year. All the way, the whole entire tree is covered in cones. And so those you're just supposed to ignore because they're just overachiever trees. But the rest of them, like maybe a 16th of the top of the tree had pine cones on them. Like it was nothing. There was a ton that had nothing on them. And I'm like, did I miss it? Like, this is really weird. And then we had the winter that we had. Don't cut the weather trees down, right? Those need to stay up. But I do have to say that we did much better with the firewood this year. Of course, my son brought me some, so that was really nice. But I want to do better for next year. And we are going to start that out really early on. Like I want to get, because we got to clean up the front. I'm trying to have a 4th of July party up here this year. So we got to get all those logs that we had brought in cut up and prepped. I do not mind cutting them into smaller pieces right before I use them. Like if we cut them and we split them and we stack them, they stack better as bigger logs. And then that works if I end up with the bigger wood stove. Because I'm kind of thinking this one would work really well in my little greenhouse. And it would heat up that space nicely if I wanted to have that in there. Or it would even work well if I decided to put it in my milk room. But I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I want a propane heater for in there. But that way the logs can literally just be 24-inch logs, and then I can cut them before I use them. That was not awful. Now we did have a mild winter, so there is that. But it really was not bad going out there, and it did force me to go outside and get fresh air and all of those things. Jody, I hate being cold too. It's almost impossible to have too much firewood stocked for winter. So my neighbor, who's been here for a while, he actually has 12 cords of firewood ready at all times. And so like whatever he used this winter, he'll just replace that amount. But he has 12 cords all the time. And I think that's a really smart thing. Now he has a shop that's all that's for. I think it's a 20 by 20 or 24 by 24 shop, metal building. So all of it's inside. It's all seasoned, and and that's the way to go. I am going to have a wood boiler, to do a heated slab and heat that heated slab. So if I can't afford to buy the one that can be inside, then I will have to have one that's for outside. And in the one that's for outside, it takes 3-foot logs. So you would just need to have 12 cords of wood that are in 3-foot logs. But if you have the one that's on the inside, then you can do smaller pieces that are easier to hand load. The outside one, you just use the skid steer and the grapple and you just drop them in. I got to go visit Kim and Norm at Mountain Beaches, and they have the heated slab and they have the indoor boiler, and it was freaking amazing. Like that heated floor, their whole barndominium, their garage, their shop area, because it's all one building, was all like 67 degrees, and it was amazing. I think there's a company here in North Idaho who makes them. So there was one in Bonners Ferry, but he passed away, and then his son, I guess, sold the business. So it's not up in Bonners Ferry anymore. Definitely the inside ones are more expensive, but just seeing how Kim and Norm set up theirs, they have it's like a RV bay, and the boiler is inside there, and then they have IBC tote, just the metal frames that they fill with firewood, and they can just bring them in with the tractor, and had them set in there. It was amazing. Like, the setup was fantastic. I know they have video about it. It's Mountain Beaches. Go over there and watch and see how they set it up if you're interested in that. But they got theirs from the guy in Bonners Ferry, but he passed away. Now, what they did is they oversized theirs, so they were like, make sure you get one that is the square footage that you need it to hit. Otherwise, that is an issue. But we were inside there. They did have their little fireplace going. They have it's for ambiance. It does warm it up just a little bit more. But the floor was fantastic. And you could be barefoot walking around all day. So they're like, we're barefoot. I'm like, I can't because of my feet issues. But I was able to take my shoes off and put my feet on it, and it was amazing. They have it set at like 67 degrees. And then they also have a propane boiler, so if they want to go out of town, they can hook that up and get that going, and it keeps it above freezing so nothing freezes. It was fantastic. Darlene, I've been watching these videos of 1800 settlers. Some had heated floors. They made themselves. It's really interesting. That is hilarious, because I too have been watching those. Those are it's amazing what they came up with. I watched one where they built a metal building, barn building, shop building over their house, and then filled it full of firewood, and they were able to keep their house super warm and not use a ton of firewood. Yes, I've been watching this too. But I'm definitely going to do a heated floor with the barndominium and a boiler. I do think I would rather have the one that's inside. The less I have to go outside in the wintertime, the better. So I definitely want a porch all the way around, so I don't have to remove snow up against the house, any of those things. And I definitely want a covered area that gets me into the barn. If we're going to have a really, really bad winter, I would probably set up I want to have an area where I could set up stalls inside one of the garage bays, so that all the animals could be brought in. Because once the soap business, the prayer for this is once the soap business takes off, I'll need to be milking year round. So I'll have to have some that are milking in the spring, and then the winter girls would be pregnant all spring, and then they would have their babies, and I would milk them all winter long. So we would have babies, and we would be milking and all. Or I have to have freezers with the milk frozen in, or freeze dryer where I could freeze dry it. So that would be the ultimate, is a freeze dryer where I could freeze dry the milk and then reconstitute it in the wintertime. That would be the dream. That takes a 240, so I would have to have a big enough system that could run that. Or we would have to, like, and we've talked about this, putting the shop, the old shop, once we get that finished, on grid. So have electricity brought to that. And that would take the place of running a generator all winter long. I would just have to have one plug-in that comes to the house that could charge whatever battery system that I have from that. And that really is, dream big. That really is kind of our future plan. Darlene says, geothermal heating has heated floors. If I win the lottery, I'm building a house with them. I have definitely been looking into that also. That would be fantastic. My biggest concern here, and I've honestly been looking into it for like 3 years now, is when we dug the outhouse hole, that only went, I think, 5 feet. We hit mountain rock, granite at 5 feet. So your geothermal is supposed, 5 feet I think is your minimum, so it's supposed to be 5 feet or deeper. The deeper you go, the warmer it is. But at 5 feet, it's supposed to hold some. It's supposed to do some. I think it was at like 50 degrees at 5 feet. So that would not be warm enough for the floor that I would want, but it would definitely help if that was able to be done. And I thought about maybe doing something like that for the barn, because then that would keep the barn even warmer. All I can think about is that one winter that we had negative 43 degrees with the wind chill. It was horrible. Danielle, dreams do come true. Dreams do come true. I believe that this is something that God has been presenting to me multiple different times in my life, and I just didn't feel like it was something that I could do. And I was actually came across this lady, and she was like, stop procrastinating the gifts that God is pushing you into. And I was like, okay, we're doing it. So I definitely feel like that this is something, it really does hit a couple of my desires. One, craftiness. Two, I really like to cook. And one thing about being on the carnivore diet, which is the best for me, I feel the best. I've had a couple of cheat weeks and I feel horrible and my entire body hurts. In fact, I think my plantar fasciitis was caused and stayed so bad because of food last year. But I don't get to do a lot of baking or cooking or like, let's look for a recipe and let's do this and let's do that. I don't get to do that. And that has actually made me really sad, because that is something that it was part of my identity. Like, I was the cook. I cooked for everybody. But this fills that bill. Like, I get to do prep work and I get to put things together and all of those things. A couple of things I am not going to do. I'm not doing any fragrance. I will do essential oils because they're not hormone interrupters. And then color-wise, I'm not doing, I want to find something that is natural to do any colors. But also those natural things come with, that they help you. They do good things for your skin. So, yeah, I'm not going to do, so I do want to do swirly things and I do want to do stuff like that, but I don't want to use colors that are not good for you, healthy for you, and I am not going to do any scents that are fragrances. So that's right. He says, do it and he will make a way. That is very true. And the thing of it is like, I now have people in my life that are like, that's going to do well. Do that. Even my son, like when I mentioned, because he was like, he'd come over and we were looking at the goats, and he has been, up until today, I moved the bale of hay by myself, but all winter long, he's been moving my bale of hay for me. Because you kind of need one person to do the gate and one person to do the machine. And so we were standing there and he's like, what are you going to do with all this milk that you get from these goats? Because the boys will drink it when they're here, but Victor and Caitlin don't really want to drink it. And there is this getting past the fact that we're so far removed from where our food comes from that there is that, I feel like that's weird and awkward to drink milk that came out of an animal, even though that's where all of our milk comes from. Hi, Heather. And so I was telling Victor, well, I'm going to move ahead with this goat's soap business. And he's like, I think that's where you're going to make your money. I think that's what's going to make you money. Because we kind of talked about the YouTube thing. He had asked me, well, are you going to quit doing YouTube? And because it's not really making money. And I'm like, no, I actually really enjoy doing it. I enjoy, and I, again, have to go back to why did I start doing YouTube? And it's to have a video record for my grandsons and my great-grandsons and my great-great-grandkids, and just all the way down the line that something I would love to have, which is a video of my grandpa doing stuff. So that's the basic reason. And then I've just been super blessed with all of you guys. Like, you guys are fantastic and definitely help me get through these winter times with those chats and all that kind of stuff. So it makes me feel not so much alone, because I definitely can get very alone up here, and that helps. Thanks, Jody. Thanks, Danielle. So it also, because I can definitely become a procrastinator, it stops me from doing that. Like, I'm like, okay, I have to get a video out, which I've been horrible this winter, but in the summertime, I'm like, well, it's time for a video. We got to finish this thing to finish this video. And that has definitely helped me get things done. KJ, if you start visiting local craft fairs, farmers markets, events, etc., then the soap business can really take off. It can. We are a bit inundated with, because Kira and I went last year, we went to look at some of the soap markets and stuff. And there are quite a few people at each one of those events that are selling soap. I think my situation is going to be, people are invested in the goats. I'm going to be better at doing videos of the animals and bringing them in on it. So people can get to know where did the milk come from that made their soap. And also, you guys know how they're cared for. And that's really important to me, because like, I look at some things and I'm like, well, did these animals live in a lot somewhere and they don't get to be out and about? They're just kind of trapped in a space, and you know, all of those things. The unscented bars, yeah, and I don't think people realize how much fragrance. So here's something that I didn't know that I just recently learned. Now, fragrance is very overpowering for me, and I've been like that for quite a few years. I would say since right around 2010. So 15 years ago. Well, apparently 30 years ago, Pfizer bought out most of your fragrance distributors. And so Pfizer owns those. And it's like, well, that makes sense, because when I was a kid, things did not bother me. The scent of things did not bother me. But as I got older, it got to where I couldn't breathe. Like, I don't know if you walk through a store and someone's got a lot of perfume on. I literally cannot breathe when I go through that. Yeah, anything with fragrance. But if you think about it, you've got, I don't know why I got a cough right now. you've got your shampoos and your soaps that have fragrance on them. Then you've got whatever fragrance is in your clothes when you're doing your laundry. So your laundry soap and your fabric softener. Now you've got that scent on you. And then if you actually spray a perfume, you've got that scent on you. And then your shampoo has scent in it. So now you got that scent on you. And it's like, if those are not all the same scents, you've got all these scents that are blocking you. And no wonder our hormones are all messed up. Okay, so see, like all of it. See, you guys are my people. To where now I'm just like, I don't want anything to have a scent on it at all. So unless like lavender, I do a lot of lavender because it's very soothing, and like I will do the essential oils on my pillow, or spritz them on my bed or whatever, because it does help me. It does help me be calm down, stress and anxiety. It helps get rid of that. So I will probably do like a lavender honey soap, just because I would really like to wash my hands with it, like before I go to bed and whatever. And then I might actually do that with, and make laundry soap out of that, so that it has that little bit of scent maybe on my clothes and stuff. I don't know how much of that would actually get on my clothes, but I do like the lavender honey. I do plan on doing like a nettle soap and a turmeric. So that's kind of how I'm going to get my colors. But I know turmeric is really good for skin inflammation. Same with the nettles. But I'm going to move into that because I do want them to be pretty, and I do want them to have like maybe little flowers on them. But I don't want a ton of scent. I just don't want that overpowering scent on them. So we are planning on maybe doing a couple of the craft fairs. But in general, I'm probably going to be using social media and YouTube, and I'm just going to really be pushing get to know the herd. These are the animals that the milk is coming from, and just that kind of the research that I've done. I have yet to meet one person, not meet, haven't met them, but find one person that got into the business and it did not just completely take off, because people are looking for it. And I think a lot of people get into it and then they go right into scents and colors and swirlies and what all these fancy things I can do. And those people that are looking for goat's milk soap don't want the fragrances and all of that kind of stuff. I think enough information is coming out as to how bad that is for you that I'm just going to stick with essential oils. So there'll be a scent in some. If a scent is in it, it's going to be an essential oil scent. So I'm actually really excited about it and get it going. I do plan on doing a shampoo bar, a dish soap bar, and the shampoo body wash is kind of what I'm going to start out with and get those going. So once I have a dry place to dry where they're not around cats, they're not around dogs, they're not around any of that, they can dry and be out of dust and everything, the crafting cabin will be perfect for that. So that's kind of the plan there. So yeah, I do think we are going to be busy, but I think it's going to be a good busy, and I don't, we're going to finish up some things on the barn, and it's not clean up. My son really wants to get a driveway in here for me, get the rock up for that, and prep for the barnuminium. The prayer is the soap business takes off and pays for my barnuminium. That's the prayer. I think this is blowing something into my face. But yeah, I cannot breathe with the even if I walk past somebody, I've had to leave aisles because I'm like, I literally cannot breathe because somebody's walked through with a bunch of perfume on. Your red hair makes you sense. So I'm actually a strawberry blonde. This is my natural hair color. I haven't dyed my hair for a couple of years now. And when I was younger, it was a lot more strawberry blonde, but then would turn white in the summer from the sun. It would bleach out. So yeah, I got a lot of, my mom and my sister and my grandmother are all, when my mom was young, she had like penny copper red hair, and then it darkened as she got a little bit older. So yeah, we're all redheads. Um, and I have very sensitive skin. Very sensitive to lots of things. So I think that's going to bring back just like a little bit of joy. I am definitely worn out, mentally, physically worn out. I'm having a lot of issues with the rheumatoid arthritis. I need to do better at sticking to diet. I had gone on a new medication with the doctor, and I was like, okay, I've been taking this long enough. I'm going to have, but I'd been doing carnivore, and then I was like, went to Costco. I was like, I'm going to have pizza at Costco. Woke up the next morning, and my eyes were almost swollen shut. My hands were swollen, and every joint in my body hurt. It was horrible. And I'm like, well, this med isn't working. So it's going to have to be carnivore for me or keto. But yeah, my reaction was so bad. And then the other night, I was like, I had seen this video, this short, where they did a twice baked potato and they had their steak chopped up on it. And it was like a loaded twice baked potato with steak on it. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to make that. And I made that. And that was worse than the pizza. I could barely get down the ladder because my knees and my ankles and my hips, every joint hurt so bad. So yeah, I don't think I can eat any of those things. It's not just the gluten. The potato did it to me too. So I think I'm gonna have to either do keto or carnivore and keep no potatoes. Just kind of keep all of that stuff out. And like I said, I did about 3 weeks of no cheating on carnivore, and I felt really good, which is why I thought I could have the pizza and just be like fine. And then the other problem is I had the pizza, and then I was like heavily craving bread and sweets and candy and like all of that stuff. It was insane. And I was probably like 3 days into, oh no, I've fallen back into this getting something that I'm not supposed to be eating when I'm out running errands, and it was awful. Colleen makes dinner interesting when you come over. Girl, I'll eat anything that you make. I will just deal with the consequences. It is fine because you're a very good cook. But yes. So if it's more keto, I'll be totally fine. Wonder if it has something to do with nightshades. Yeah, so that's with the autoimmune, nightshades are definitely an issue. And I've always had an issue with tomatoes. Much worse when I was a kid than what I have now. Like now I can eat them and I don't feel like I have an issue. But it's probably like an inflammation issue that I have. Where I used to like turn bright red and my neck would turn all bright red. I don't have an issue with peppers. Now I can't do anything spicy, but like sweet peppers, I love those and I love eating those, and I don't feel like I have an issue with those. But I do feel like it's I feel like I'm gonna have to just do carnivore, and then whenever we decide to do more keto in the summertime, try one new thing at a time. Like try that one thing and then not anything new for a couple of days and see how the reaction is, and then I'll be able to make the list and see what affects me more than other things. So I think that'll make the difference. But nightshades is what the doctor was talking about, that with lupus or RA, that's pretty normal for those to have an issue to those. So that's kind of a bummer. I am going to grow corn this year, though. I've never grown corn in my life, and I told my son, don't grow corn because I'm going to grow a bunch because I want to do an experiment. And I do know with corn that if you eat corn raw, just right off the cob, your body can actually digest it. But if you cook it, it cannot digest it. So it just goes right through you. And I'll tell you, uncooked raw corn on the cob is actually really, really good. So if you haven't tried that, definitely try it because it's really good. But it will be a great treat for the critters. The pigs are doing great. I've actually put everybody on a pig feed because Danielle, I got her a couple of babies, and Jody always eats hers raw. And they're doing well. So my little tiny piglets are growing and catching up and doing really well. And we need to get Victor's turkeys processed. I had a wild group of young toms show up today trying to pick fights because apparently it's breeding season. I got my first duck egg, but then I went out there to get it and it was gone. So I think the crows have already figured out where this. So that may not have been her first duck egg, but it's the first one that I saw. I'm trying to decide if I want to collect them up and then try to hatch out a batch, or if I just want to let her do it and not try. I would like to fill my freezer full of duck meat, Muscovy ducks. This year, I definitely would like to get some of those going. So I may, if I can get them before they freeze, because that's an issue. Those little pigs are so cute. I miss them, but they are living their best life now. They really are. He is trying to breed everybody. He is like, the other day I was like, why are the pigs screaming? It was the middle of the night too. I went out on the roof and on the deck and was like, had the flashlight over there, and I was like, oh, that's why. They are doing well. Yeah, he's feeling his oats in the middle of the night. They're so funny. They are a hoot. I really do like Kune Coon pigs. They're cute to look at. I feel like they have a lot of personality. And they really are easy. They're not destructive. Like your bigger pigs can be very destructive, and they're not. And so that's really nice. I really like the pig barn though. I need to finish up the roof line on that. And I do have, I think it's 10 or 11 100-watt panels that are not, like, they could go on the roof. And I think I'm going to set those up, and then I'll set up a separate rack for the ones that I buy from Carrie, that can charge from the back. And then that way I can have two systems coming in, and it'll just be extra amount. And then I'll probably try to slowly replace the 100-watt ones and to get a lot more power, because we need a lot in the winter time. We need a disco ball out there, I guess, right? That'd be great. Catch everything from all the sides. The best place to get sun, full sun, is the shop roof over. That's full sun. Nothing's blocking it all winter, all summer. There's no shade on that thing at all. I do think, okay, so the sawmill, the finished pieces that we have for that shop are the 20-foot long or 22-foot long beams, and for the roof. And then there's some that are 15 feet. But the 15 feet ones aren't a big deal because Victor can bring those back in his dump truck. But the 22-foot long ones, those are a little bit more of an issue. So we're kind of talking about picking some trees off the property so that they don't have to be hauled in, the logs don't have to be hauled in, and cutting those, bringing the sawmill back to cut those, to then build the rafters for the shop, and then I'll be able to afford to bring the crane in, and because I'm working for Victor, so that'll pay for, basically I'll work for him, he'll keep my hours, and then he'll pay for the crane to come over here, and we could get back on the shop build. So that is something that we've been talking about. I'd really like to get that done. Hi, Mary. We love you too, honey. I'm definitely praying for you and your mama. The disco ball would induce labor in the goat. So I did get the camera out there, but I haven't run the electric over to it. I've kind of been, Kelly sent me a different brand that is a solar brand versus a electric, needing electric out there, and I've really been like, oh, I should just take these back and get those. So I'm kind of on the fence about it. I honestly don't like either that, I don't know if I can do this, but if I could turn off the motion sensor to where I could just use it, like go to it and be like, what's going on in there? If I have the motion sensor thing going on that, it would be constantly going off because the goats are moving around. So that would be, I mean, I guess I could turn off my notifications on that. But I'm still kind of on the fence about that. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do that. I do think I'm going to take one back. I may keep that one because that would be really easy to set up over here on the house and plug in and no big deal. And then replace the other one with the solar ones, because that would be really great. I did get my Wi-Fi extender came in, so I've got to get that put up, which should then get to the barn, because that was the other thing. I don't have Wi-Fi. It doesn't work really well out there. It's too far from my router, so this way I can get the extender set up, put in the window at the kitchen, and then that should reach the barn. So that's kind of the plan. All right, y'all. It's like 6:22. Anybody have any questions that I did not answer in my rambling that I do? Mine has the ability to record constantly, motion or smart sense, custom notifications, etc. I keep mine recording all the time, so my SD card about 12 days or so before it overwrites the old video. Oh, that's nice. Ooh, I hope mine does that. I think Victor's does that too. His is on a motion sensor, so, but I do think it records all the time. But then he can also go live feed, watch it too. I don't know. We're supposed to have a pretty decent day tomorrow, but I'm loading the truck and doing a dump run and doing a bit of running down, getting ready to hunker down for some bad weather, because I don't like leaving when, I mean, I do go take the boys and pick them up, but I don't really like driving into town or any of that kind of stuff. What kind is that, KJ? What's your brand, KJ, of that motion, that camera? Yeah, so if we're supposed to have some really bad weather, I like to just hunker down and not do much of anything. Y-I? Is it Yi? Is that how do you pronounce it? Yi? I got the wise ones. But Victor, I don't know what Victor has on it, on his, but he pulled his up and was like, oh, da-da-da-da-da. Now, the lady at Home Depot, she's the one that she had these wise ones, and she pulled hers up and was like, these are fantastic. Okay. So, I do want to get it hooked up and see how it goes. It would be really nice to be able to. But then I also feel like I need a light out there because, I mean, it does do night vision, I guess, so you can see the movement and stuff. But she does look like she's going to pop. She's dropped more. She's definitely more hollowed out in her, right by her spine, and the babies have dropped. A lot of the Okies have Ryobi. I have had companies reach out before wanting to do it, but I was like, I don't have power out there. I don't have any of those things, so I've always just said no. But I would really like to have the ability to just like pull something up and look at different areas, especially for the wild animals too. Their cloud memberships for backup are pretty reasonable too. Oh, that's nice. All right, you guys, it's like 6:26. I should probably go and plug my little things in and prep for the evening time. Settle my brain down. All of those things. Thanks for hanging out with me. I always feel better whenever I come on here and do the lives. Like I always do. I'm kind of debating on, instead of doing a Tuesday live for everybody, just making this second Thursday an all everybody live, and then the other, because I do a members live every Thursday, but I think I'm going to do that. I think instead of a Tuesday, I'm just going to keep it at Thursday. That makes it easier to not really have to think about it. And I need to pre-set them up like in advance, like a week in advance. Everybody have a good evening. I'll talk to you later. Thanks for hanging out. Bye. Boop.